We now begin the press conference by Minister Kamikawa. Minister.
I mentioned at today's cabinet meeting that we will provide $10 million in emergency grant assistance to the Horn of Africa region, Ethiopia, Somalia, and Kenya. These countries are facing serious humanitarian situation due to the combined effects of drought and global food and energy price hikes caused by international situation over the past 3 years. Under such a situation, the flood that happened in the end of last year caused a particular serious damage, which is situations that cannot be overlooked from a humanitarian perspective, and for this reason we have decided to provide support. This cooperation will provide humanitarian assistance in the areas of temporary shelter, water and sanitation through international organizations such as the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and the International Organization for Migration. Water is the basis of life, and from the perspective of human security, it is necessary to secure water and sanitation. Climate change is a risk factor for water-related disasters, and it is estimated that about 80% of the world's disasters are water-related. Japan is leading the Kumamoto Water Initiative as a concrete contribution related to water, focusing also on efforts aimed at both climate change mitigation and adaptation measures. When I attended the third United Nations Water Conference in March last year as a special envoy of a Prime Minister, I pointed out the importance of integrated water resource management, including watershed management, from the perspective of preventing floods and mitigating damage when they occur. Japan intends to strengthen such cooperation in the future. That is all from me.
If you have a question, please raise your hand, and when nominated, please mention your name and affiliation and ask your question. Igarashi-san, NHK, please. I'm Igarashi from NHK. So I have a question in relation to Northern Territories issue. So tomorrow, February 7th, is the Northern Territories Day. And with the Russians' aggression against Ukraine, the negotiation with Russia is not making progress. What is the state? I'd like to ask the position of Japan with regards to Northern Territories. As you mentioned, tomorrow, the February 7th, is the Northern Territories Day. Northern Territory is the islands over which Japan has sovereignty, and it is an inherent part of the territory of Japan. Russia's occupation of the Northern Territories has no legal basis. It is illegally occupied. That is Japan's position. And such illegal occupation is what Japan cannot tolerate. Russia, after 1 month after it started aggression against Ukraine, in the March 2022, with Japanese sanction against Russia and such as reason, it unilaterally announced that it has no intention to continue negotiation on peace treaty. The situation is still continuing, and unfortunately, we're not able to make any comment specifically with regards to the negotiation over a peace treaty. But the Japanese government is maintaining its position to resolutely resolve the issue of Northern Territory and conclude peace treaty. Hokkaido Shimbun, Araya-san.
Araya from Hokkaido Shimbun, a relevant question. Former residents' average age is already more than 88 years old, and negotiations of a government and visiting the graves seems to be not progressing, and they feel frustrated. We understand the situation that Japan must put sanctions on Russia, but how long do you think this situation will continue? And if this stalemate continues, would you consider any new means? Well, Russia one month after its aggression to Ukraine in March 2022, announced unilaterally that they don't have any intention of continuing peace negotiations with Japan because of Japan's sanction against Russia, and this situation still continues. So unfortunately, there's nothing particular that I can mention about the peace treaty negotiations. But the government intends to maintain its policy of reaching a peace treaty after solving the Northern Territories issue. About visiting the graves, the government continues to maintain the position that is of utmost priority in terms of resuming relations with Russia. The former residents who are getting aged, I'm sure they wish the resumption of negotiations. The government is continuing approaches against Russia on various levels. We have confirmed that the framework of visiting the graves is maintained, but unfortunately, we have not seen any positive reactions from Russia about resuming the project. With a strong wish that the government wants to respond to the feelings of former residents, the government will continue to strongly ask Russia to resume the project, placing importance on visiting the graves and Northern Territories.
Next question from Sankei. I'm Haraka from Sankei. I also have a question with regards to Northern Territories. So this is a related question. So with regards to the resumption of a visit to a grave, another topic is the non-negotiation happening with regards to agreement on safe operation. And for safe operation, what was possible are not being able to be done currently. And with regards to the agreement on safe operation negotiation, I do believe that is also an important matter. What is the prospect and what is the intention of government to work on this matter? Yes, fishery. As a government, we recognize it as a matter Japan and Russia needs to work on as neighboring countries, especially with regards to this agreement on safety operation of fishery, which you talked about. This is a very important to enable safe operation by Japanese fishing vessels in the area surrounding Northern Territories or the 4 islands. From this perspective as well, government is continuing to approach Russia at different levels, but unfortunately, we have not been able to receive any positive reaction from Russia for resuming those negotiations. As I mentioned earlier, the government has strong wish to respond to a very strong feeling of the islanders, and we are to continue to demand Russia to resume the program with focus on the visit to the graves, and also we'll dare to continue to approach Russia so that we can resume the safe operation quickly.
Next question, Kamimura-san from Yomiuri Shimbun. Thank you. I'm Kamimura from Yomiuri Shimbun. About the cyber attack relevant to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there has been a report by Yomiuri Shimbun that there was a leakage of the Japanese embassy in China's official telegram caused by the cyber attack of China. What's your take about this situation? I'm aware of a report that you have mentioned, but because of its nature, I want to refrain from answering the question relevant to information security. And on top of that, to enhance the ability to respond in the area of cybersecurity is considered to be an important task of the government. And information security is the basis in strengthening cooperation and advancing sharing of information with relevant countries, including the United States. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs will continue to closely cooperate with relevant government agencies and continue to take firm measures.
Murao-san from Mainichi Shimbun. I am Murao from Mainichi Shimbun. So I have a question related to China. So the vessel of Chinese Coast Guard from January is a warning Japanese self-defense aircraft, which is flying a Japanese territorial sea surrounding a Senkaku Islands in Okinawa using radio. And how it was reported that the Japanese government launched a protest. And what is your analysis situation and such? We are aware of the reporting. So with regards to the specific instance, how we are reacting to it, I'd like to refrain from making a comment for those each responses. But in general, when China makes a unique claims regarding Senkaku Islands, Japan has lodged a strong protest. Based on a policy to resolutely protect lives and properties of its people and defend its territorial land, sea, and airspace, we continue to cooperate or cooperate with the relevant agency with a sense of urgency. We'll continue to collect information and have a more thorough monitoring and surveillance around the Senkaku Islands. At the same time, we will continue to respond in a calm and firm manner against China.
Next question from Kyodo Tsushin. Katsurada from Kyodo Tsushin speaking. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, have a question. Secretary General Guterres of the United Nations mentioned with regards to UNRWA with suspicions that a staff was engaged in the attack against Israel, attack by Israel against Hamas, that an independent organization will be set to evaluate. What is your take about it? And interim report will be published in late March and final report in late April. What is your view about the timing to Japan to make its judgment in resuming or not its contributions? About the suspicion of UNRWA staff that you have mentioned, currently the Office of Internal Oversight Services of United Nations, OIOS, started the investigation. Japan will continue to take close communication with relevant countries and strongly ask the United Nations to take appropriate measures to strengthen governance and conduct this investigation swiftly in a complete manner. Under such a situation, in addition to the investigation by the United Nations, Secretary General Guterres has appointed an independent evaluation group to evaluate the measures and to secure neutrality of UNRWA, which is something that Japan takes positively. At the moment, it's difficult to make any predictions about the timing to make the judgment. For UNRWA to play its role, the precondition is that the governance of UNRWA must be trusted. We will continue to take close communication with the United Nations, UNRWA, and relevant countries, and consider the response that Japan should take.
Next question, IWJ. I'm Hamamoto from IWJ. I have a question with regards to the situation in Israel and Palestine. U.S. organization CPJ, the Committee to Protect Journalists, made an announcement at the end of last year. It said that the number of journalists killed in Gaza reached to 68, the largest number ever. And it also emphasized that there is a pattern, most concerned pattern, in which the journalists and family appear to be targeted in the attack by Israel. Is the Japanese government intending to request restraint from Israel and condemn their activities? We are aware of the announcement made by U.S. organization, Committee to Protect Journalists, which was made at the end of last year. In sending out accurate information about the situation on the ground to the world, media has very important role, inclusive of the journalists and other relevant persons. The civilians need to be protected, and Japanese government have been requesting and demanding all relevant parties to comply with international law, inclusive of international humanitarian law, and requested the securing safety of the civilians. And Japanese government will continue the tenacious effort in the diplomatic efforts to calm the situation quickly. That concludes the press conference. Thank you.